Hi guys, fellow travelers, soul family, whatever. Right, I find, I'll just get straight into it, preambles. I find that the biggest hurdle we face, I feel personally on this quest, is the overcoming of our own inner darkness. Call it the deepest wound, call it the shadow, our shadow self. Now, people are by nature multifaceted, aren't we? We are already complex beings, so we have all these different aspects of ourselves. We're not just one thing. We're actually many things, and different aspects of ourselves come out in different situations or through creative expression, or when we hear a really beautiful piece of music. Different aspects of ourselves come out and make themselves known. So that is a good thing. However, in the shadow self, all those fragments, those different nuances of our being, are targeted for for mind control, for subversion, as it were, right? So, and rather than there being cohesion and wholeness between all the different nuances and aspects of our being, there is the fragmentation, as in all these different fragments are at war with one another in a sense. So say for example there is the inner child, your inner vulnerability, the part of you that needs to know it's safe and loved. That part is then attacked by the part of you, the fragment of you, the nuance of you that is supposed to help you navigate. Call it the male principle, which through the manipulation has become very harsh, very brutal, constantly beats you up, constantly attacks you, sort of thing. And so that goes for the inner child. That is the sort of thing I'm talking about. So there is this massive war raging within our own psyche. Never mind the wars that are raging all around us. Those are reflections of the inner war in a sense as well. So it's when you start to recognize how you are your own worst enemy, how these different nuances of your being are no longer cohesive and supportive and functioning in the flow, but are literally attacking one another, judging one another, hating one another, right? So what happens in that scenario is that the dark side literally just runs the show and stops you from self-actualizing, stops you from learning to trust your true self and returning to cohesion. That is what I feel. So the biggest lie in it all, the biggest lie is also the deepest wound. You're worthless and you don't deserve to exist. That lie reverberates throughout our entire being and has its fingers on the throats of every aspect and every nuance of our shadow. And the shadow believes this to be true. And the different aspects of your shadow react differently to this notion that the inner child is terrified, feels terrified, unsafe, unloved, unwanted. The inner male principle, the navigator, attacks that child. Stop whining, you little fucker, you know, you're worthless, you're shit, just get on with it. And Like things like out there, things like trying ain't good enough, you either do it or you don't, that sort of harsh, nasty bullshit is received through mind control by the male principle, and it becomes this harsh, brutal, domineering aspect, bludgeoning the shit out of your inner child. The female principle, another part of your, yourself, learns not to trust itself. It doubts itself continually, is second guessing itself continually. It feels something, it sees something. Oh no, that can't be true. For example, when you have an experience with, say, the Mandela effect, you always find yourself second guessing it. No, it must have been there all along, I just missed it. Did you fuck? You didn't miss it, it was definitely there. As in, it wasn't there before, but you know what I'm saying. So, and that male principle within you also mercilessly attacks the female principle. There is no such thing as intuition. That's bullshit. No, you've got to listen to the experts because they know what's going on. And that's where you're, you need to learn to listen to authority and do as you're told and toe the line. And that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do to survive. So the way I feel it, more than anything, is that the male principle really is the biggest problem. I could be completely wrong about this. I'm certainly no expert. This is just from my own observation as pertaining to myself. But it's the male principle that has become this harsh, brutal, asinine, dark force that is like the proverbial millstone around the neck, because it's convinced that there is only darkness in the world. It simply shuts its eyes and turns away from anything good and wholesome and beautiful. It's like, no, it doesn't exist. No, that's all bullshit. We've got to focus on the dark side. We've got to focus on evil because that's all there is. It thinks that by doing that, it will stay safe. It is actually trying, believe it or not. It's crazy, but there you go. It's trying to help us to survive. It is the navigator of our psyche in a sense. And so it's trying to keep us safe, but it's doing that in the way that we've been mind controlled to think it is done. It's doing that in the way that our parents did it to us, right? And that society does it to us. The experts, the scientists, the ministers in the churches and the teachers in the schools, the doctors, and it always ends badly. It never works out because there is no love there. There is no compassion there. Don't stop trying. Just do it. Get it right. It has no compassion. It's brutal. It's brutal. And it's in there brutalizing us. But we are in essence doing it to ourselves. It's a complex issue. But I've noticed this. It's also filled with rage, and the rage that it feels is akin to all the fires of hell. It is not what it should be doing. Is it should be supporting our feminine principle. They should walk hand in hand. Yes, your intuition is right. I see this, I feel this, says the feminine principle. I get a deep sense that we should go there today and do that. That feels right. The male principle goes, yes, I concur. And the action happens based on the wisdom of the feminine, yes? But no, it doesn't work that way, does it, people? No, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. I say we do this, and it never quite works out when you follow that line. When you follow the dysfunctional male principle, it just doesn't work out. It wants to go to war, it wants to resist, it wants to force, it wants to control. Because at the heart of it, it's terrified and it believes that we live in a world of pure evil and that, it has to somehow survive, and it has to it thinks according to the way that we've been programmed to think. So that causes massive problems in the awakening, of course, because what we have here is a continual cycle of destruction happening within us. It doesn't want to surrender, and it doesn't want to trust. And when it perceives you, itself, as it were, to have gotten it wrong, it will punish you mercilessly, it will beat you up mercilessly, it will crush you. All the while saying, they out there, they are crushing me, they are doing it to me. It always projects outwards, everything always is projected outwards, so it's somebody else doing it to you. They are doing it to me. I'm innocent, I didn't do anything, they did it. See, projection is a big, big deal. That's very much in the big cauldron, it's a big element of it all. The only way we're going to get through this is through self-love. So the reactionary behavior comes from that dysfunctional male principle, and the opposite of that is what will help us the most, is to see, we can choose to identify with that, we can choose to go into it, into the dark, and live there and believe that to be the truth. That's the truth. I believe that I'm deep down. You might not admit this to yourself. No, I'm not doing that. But you are. I am powerless and I am worthless. And I am filled with rage. And that is the truth. It's shit and I'm powerless and I'm worthless and you know, and all this. And it'll just go on and on and on and on. Or you have a choice to say, no, I recognize this to be a lie. And you can learn to not go into it. Because believe me, you give it a finger and it will take your whole hand. It will literally take over. Because the force of it is very strong, because it's the survival instinct. It's the survival instinct, you see. So you try and do anything that deviates from that, and it will throw up a massive tantrum. Because it says, no, what you're doing here is going to get you in trouble. You're going to die. You're going to be destroyed. And yet, over and over again, when you choose the other way, I call it the third way, you find that things work out better. And a big part of that is to recognize that your navigation skills are dysfunctional. That to allow darkness to overtake you, to overtake your senses, your mind, your consciousness, is what will keep you perpetually stuck in it. I know this because, like the giving up smoking lark, it was all very dark. It became very dark because this I don't know, it just came up. It came up. The deepest wound came up. Because, you know, when you remove your compulsions, when you remove your addictions, you remove the glass ceiling, that which keeps it repressed. That's why everybody's so engaging in these compulsions and the addictions, because it keeps it repressed. We don't want to look at it, we don't want to feel it, we don't want to deal with it. Because we're afraid. As well we might be, because what comes up invariably is very dark and overwhelming, you see. But we're also very used to, when it comes up, to believe it all. Oh, it's true. We think that our feelings are facts. We think that the mind-controlled thoughts, the dark generator as well, everything else, that's true. To the extent, and I know this from experience, where we simply don't even see the truth. And the truth is that there is goodness, there is light, there is creativity, there is love, there is compassion, there is wisdom, and there is a winning of this war, and there is triumph, and there is victory, there is power. I know this because I've felt it and experienced all of that. Yet, I gave up smoking for 24 hours and oh boy, it came up like a fucking tidal wave of shit. And it's in there, beating you mercilessly, telling you how worthless you are, how shit you are, how you may as well just pick up and smoke again because, you know, evil's won, it's all shit, you're so worthless, you're so powerless. And that is where that is the inner dark generator, and that's where it all stems from, of course, the deepest wounds. And your navigator believes this to be true, this is how it is. It's a very, this is so difficult to navigate this maze at times, people. Everything has been done to create this nightmare scenario. And it's here within us that the war truly takes place. Everything you see out there is but a reflection of it, because it's happening to everybody else as well, only they're not aware of it. I always say that the evil has made everything very complicated and very complex. It does that for a reason, because the more complex it is, the more difficult it becomes to navigate it, the more easy it is for evil to manipulate and control us and gaslight us. Right? It takes naturally good things like the multifacetedness of us, like the fact that people like to get together and do things together, and it makes it into a herd mentality, hive mind. The multifacetedness of us, which is beautiful intrinsically, so becomes fragmented, dark, inner war. You see, it takes that which was beautiful and good and amazing and just flips it and makes it dark and uses it. That's what it does. Self-love and self-compassion, there's a great deal of acceptance within it. And I don't mean to say that we accept evil, that is not what I mean. So again, don't misconstrue my words. Acceptance and surrender are important here. They just are. Accepting that this is where I am at right now. This is how I feel right now. Because I'm very wounded. Because my navigator is dysfunctional. So be aware of what you're feeling and be aware of what's going on within you as you're lying there in bed. And you feel this rage, and you feel this wave of dark, viscous negativity. Don't fight it. Don't resist it, people. The minute you start doing that, you're giving it your energy and you're lost. You're lost in it. You drown in it. Literally, it will... That's it. Don't resist it, but let it wash over you. I find this helps for me. I just lie there and I just let it wash over me. I don't resist it. I don't judge it. I give it some love and some compassion because I understand why it is this way. Why I feel that way. And I remind myself that this is not the truth. This is healing. It is, you see. It's a great cosmic purge. We really must make every effort not to get lost in it. A lot of us do, and I've noticed this, a lot of us do. I'm the same, I do as well, I get lost in it. But the more we get lost in it and come out of it again, the more we learn how not to get lost in it. The more we learn how to stop it from taking over by simply not resisting it. The more you resist it, the more you say, no, I shouldn't feel this way, this is bad, push back. The stronger it gets. It's amazing. So let it wash over you. And let it go. You'll find yourself wanting to believe it's true. This is true. This is all fucking true and they're all doing it to me and it's all shit and... So don't do that. Don't engage with it. Don't react to it. Let it just wash over you. And believe me, it comes over you and it dissipates. It just does. I think we'll get better and better at this. It's the only way to fight this war that's raging on the inner planes. We cannot give it our energy. We cannot give the darkness our power and our energy. Because the minute we do that, it literally, you get lost in it. You do come out of it again, but you do get lost in it. It's wow. It is overwhelming. Especially for people who've been very abused as children. I find that it's harder for those of us who have really been abused, because that whole deepest wound thing, and the navigator and the feminine principle and the inner child and all the other aspects are all over the place, and it's just murky as fuck. It really is. It's very murky. You know, we don't trust ourselves. Yet we trust the male principle to tell us that it's all shit and we're done for and we're lost and we're fucked and whatnot. You know, we continually second guess ourselves when the feminine principle is there trying to guide the way. You know, we don't act on that, we act on the mind instead, which is the male principle. Ignore all that, ignore the feminine principle, ignore the intuition, ignore your gut instincts, ignore your visions, ignore your dreams. Ignore your true self, ignore your power, ignore your power. Go with being powerless, yeah, that really works like hell. But that's what it does, right? It's very clever, it's very tricksy. It likes us to focus on all the superfluous, extraneous details of the world. It tells us it's not safe to trust this process. It tells us that we're all alone and that we've been abandoned and that there is no force of light or good at all. It says, oh, there's a problem over there, you're gonna have to go and sort it out now. When your intuition is there saying, you know what, yes, there's a problem there, but you need to let that go because it will all be sorted out. You've got this to do right now. You need to be with yourself. So stop focusing all this energy on the drama and the chaos and the darkness and the dysfunction and the pain and the suffering, because you cannot carry it all on your back. You're not Atlas, you know, the Greek guy who carried the world on his back. See, the dark side wants you to think that somehow you have to fix it all, and you're responsible for all the suffering in the world, and you have to fix it, and you're failing to fix it, thus reinforcing that notion again that you're so powerless and you're so worthless. Somehow this world is not what it appears to be, and when you realize that you see suffering going on, you see this, you see that, you see it, and you want to do something about it, but you know that you cannot, because you yourself are deeply, severely wounded. And for you to change the world, you have to change your own consciousness. You have to allow your own consciousness to be healed. And there are things that you will see that will cut you up, but you have to let them go. Because by healing your own consciousness, you will heal the world. And you will find that these problems and these things that you see that cut you up will be transformed. These problems will solve themselves. They will be solved without you actually having to do a damn thing. Your love and your compassion are intrinsic to healing this world. So that has to start at home. That has to start here. It's you. You see? It's just another form of projection at the end of the day. The wounded healer. I'm totally fucked up, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to go out there and try and fix the world. Well, that's not going to happen, is it, people? That is the wounded healer. Trying to fix things, trying to heal things, your own compulsions, your own addictions, they're not going to be fixed, and they're not going to be healed through this dysfunctional navigator. Beating ourselves up and punishing ourselves. And there's the fear as well, you know, I know that. The fear is a really big element of this. The fear that, oh my God, I have to stop smoking now, otherwise I'm going to be completely fucked. I have to stop doing this, or I have to go there, I have to do because otherwise I'm fucked, I'm screwed. But you see, there is the magic that says, yes, this situation is not a good situation, this is really bad. So only bad can come of it. Yet I find often enough the magic is the beauty that lies within a particular problem. It's trying to teach us something, it's trying to show us something, and it will come to fruition when we stop resisting and fighting and kicking and screaming. I've tried both ways, and the third way always works best. Surrender. Acceptance. This is how it is right now, and I feel terribly afraid. I feel utterly terrified, like a tiny frightened kitten. But I can try and force this through using fear and self-punishment. I can force this through and it just won't work. You'll just end up back at square one. Or I can accept that, okay, this is what's happening, but my true self is telling me there is something meaningful going on here. I feel really shit and I'm really afraid, and I wake up and I feel all this rage. And you feel the rage because you still believe that evil's won. You still believe that you're worthless. That's all programming. It isn't true. It's not true. It's a lie. It's all a fucking lie. The fear is a lie as well. Because all those terrible things are not going to happen. Because love protects us. Our true self has power that protects us. The Great Mother. Call it what you will. Everything is going to fall into place. It is going to be alright. It is going to work out. I feel this. But we have to learn to not give our power away to the dark side. We do this time and time again. We do this because we've been taught, we've been conditioned, we've been mind controlled to do this. That's what the world out there does continually. Oh, we have a solution for this problem. Force it, make it happen, resist, reject. Oh, it's bad, it's evil. Prisons are a case in point. They don't fucking work. They just create more crime. The war on drugs, what has that done? Yeah, you know what I mean. You get my gist. So that is not the way it works. And then you go to places like Switzerland, for example, and look at how they, or my country, even Holland, and you look at how they deal with people who have heroin addictions or whatever addiction. And it's a very different story. It's about compassion. It's about giving these people a safe place. Love, nurturing, compassion. And that sorts the shit out. It does. The prisons are empty in Switzerland. There's not, they had to close 3 prisons in Holland over the last couple of years because there's not enough people to put in them. But in America, of course, it's the opposite. It's the same here in Britain. It's harsh, asinine, patriarchal, yes, the dysfunctional male principle, patriarchal bollocks. Somebody has a drug addiction. They're a criminal, put them in prison. Yeah, that's really going to help. You get my gist. So that same mechanism is what's taking place inside of us, and we need to address it because it's poison. Only love, only compassion, only that is going to sort this out. And it all starts at home. And I suppose that's all I have to say for now. Yeah. I know it ain't easy, folks. I do. I know that from experience. But it's a case of never giving up. Just never giving up. You get it wrong? Never mind. You get back up. You wipe the crap off your shit, off your clothes. You get back up and you do it again. you learn that acceptance, and I don't mean acceptance is, this is how it is right now. I don't quite understand. I know I'm deeply wounded. I feel like shit, but I accept this is just a temporary thing. Something is happening here that is meaningful. I am healing. So I'm going to do the best I can to love myself, regardless, because I deserve to be loved, because I am beautiful, because I am a valuable being. I am very, very valuable. So I'm not going to go into the darkness and dwell there, but I'm going to let it wash over me. I'm not going to resist it, because that just seems to make it bigger and darker and more powerful. So, and whatever it is you're engaged in that you feel hopeless about, that you feel trapped in, like I do with my smoking right now, I do. The only way to get it sorted is through self-love, I know that much. And that might be a bit of a journey, people. It may exist, this problem, this whatever scenario it is that you find yourself in your life that is very, very troublesome. It may exist, it probably exists to teach you something, to teach me something. And it will all be alright. It will work out, magically. That day will arrive, where there's a breakthrough, and you will have gained something very valuable and very potent, you see. So, and as long as we do not give up and do not give in to the dark side, I truly sense that we will gain higher ground, more and more and more, and that is what it's all about. It's a kind of unlearning of all the dysfunctional, turgid shit. All that, this is how it is, this is how it is. Yeah, it's not how it is, no. And it's a massive unlearning, a massive detox. I think ultimately, we're doing so much better than we feel we are, you know. But you've got that shit, oh, you've made another mistake, look how shit you are. No, that's just bullshit. We're doing so much better than we think we are. We really are. This is how our true self reveals itself to us, through these trials and tribulations, you know. We get to know our strength and our courage. And we are very courageous people, so yeah. Let's fight the good fight, yeah? Let's stay in the light as much as we can. Let's love ourselves, have compassion for ourselves. And let's understand as well that the dysfunctional navigator appears very much like the enemy, like Darth Vader is living inside you or something, you know, join the dark side, Luke. But that it is, in fact, I know this sounds mad, but it's true, it's trying to protect us, it's trying to help us through life in the only way it knows, in the only way it remembers. It doesn't work, it's completely not how it works, and it's very detrimental. But it's stuck in that cycle. That's mind control for you, you know. I mean, you can just imagine how these poor people that have been MK Ultras, how they must feel. It's got to be an absolute nebulous nightmare. And in a sense, we've all been MK Ultras. Actually, no, not even in a sense. We have been. It's a fact. Ooh. And the fact that we're here and we're doing our sacred work proves to each and every one of us how incredibly potent we are, how valuable we are. And as long as we do not give up and do not give in, we will get there. I know this. I'm convinced of this. 2020 will show us many great things. There will be shifts. I can feel it. The days of darkness are numbered, people. All right? All my love to you.